What's up? Welcome back. Day two. Let me see if I can change my. There we go. Now you get to see the cool background. All right. Less people in here today. Expected. So, hey, man. Yep, Brandon. I did send the recording yesterday, and there'll be a recording every day. So, welcome in. So, if you are watching on the recording, get ready to rock. So, today we're actually going to show you how to build it all. And it's a way of being able to incorporate how you talk, how you express yourself, how you write things. um, it's a way to literally duplicate yourself and duplicate your brain, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the building blocks that we put in place, QC, was yesterday, and I sent out the prompt and a little side instructional guide on how it works, what it does, that kind of stuff. And if you got any questions on tweaking that, put them in the comments, because I know some of this stuff can be super confusing and super complicated and super technical, and we can get lost in the shuffle. So make sure you're putting your questions in here. That's what I'm here for, to help you build all of this at a basic level and be able to get out what you need to from this course and in the future. So the four opportunities we have here. So BB step one, building block step one, is that QC like we talked about. BB step two, which we're going to focus a little bit on today. This is going to be your homework for tonight. This is something that I can't really send you the prompt on. And I say that because I've built my voice into my ChatGPT. You don't want to write like Ryan. You want to write like you. And you don't want ChatGPT talking like me. I swear. I talk loudly. I say bold statements that maybe you don't agree with, and I'm okay with that. But you don't want to say that stuff. So we're going to have you and show you how to build the individual voice audiences. So this one's really cool. We're actually going to build psychological profiles about who you want to talk to. So whether it's first-time home buyers, veterans, luxury home owners and sellers, the more that you niche down on this, the better it's going to be output and content building wise. And that's going to be super, super helpful for building content directly for certain people. The fourth one we're going to talk about is the market, and we're going to break down how to build out a professional around a certain market. So if you would put in there where your market is in the comments, so that I have something to go off of when we build this one out later. So all of these have prompts, obviously, except for the voice one, and we're going to walk through how to build that. So the first one we've got to go through here is the differences between ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 5. Obviously, 4 came out quite a bit ago. You have access to it. Zach, if you can get a little more specific on specific areas, cities, and states, that's super helpful, because then it targets that direct location and what goes on in that city. So GPT-4, forgiving, broad guardrails, gives you a bunch of general content. And so that's why I'm recommending using GPT-5. As you use these GPTs, if you just click on the top, and I can bring it up here. Let's remove that one, add that one. If we bring up this drop down here, there's auto, which would decide how long to think. So most of the stuff you're doing here, you're going to want to just use auto. Instant, you can utilize if you're trying to build something super simple or just asking it a question. All of these have credits behind them. When you use the paid versions, it doesn't really matter. But instant is something that's going to just be more efficient for you. So if you're asking simple questions, you may want to just use instant, because it's already collected the data in the background. Thinking Mini, this is something, and Thinking. So these two will actually deep think and deep research and utilize the QC prompts directionally. Those two things are absolutely the best way to go. And it will generally choose that for you if it needs to. And then Pro, this is when you're doing some research. So, when we're creating these market updates, depending on how you want to use them, Pro might be the best option. If you don't have Pro, that's perfectly fine. The thinking will get away with what you needed to. So like I said, generally I'm going to keep it on auto. Sometimes I'll quick flip it to instant, but it depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. If it requires any sort of deep research or anything like that, we're going to want to go into Thinking or Thinking Mini to create that. So let's jump back in here. So obviously, higher efficiency or higher effort inputs equals high impact output. So the QC prompt overview. So like we talked about yesterday, we're going to use deep thinking. It allows you to clear up the sources you're going to use. We're going to want to exclude Reddit as a primary source, which I believe was in the prompt I sent you. If it wasn't, we're going to want to add that in. It gives clarity first. So instead of creating a bunch of content or spitting out a bunch of words that just randomly show you something, we're going to want to be direct to the point. We want to triple check our sources. So when it's sourcing the information, we want it to come back around and double check and triple check to make sure that we have accurate information. We're telling it to avoid the AI voice, hit different, all of the fluff language that AI uses. We're telling it to do that. We want to validate the sources, as I said. So triple check and validating sources, and then recency check. So we don't want it to pull information from 2005. We want to make sure that it's recent information that allows us to utilize the most up-to-date information. So the voice prompt overview, this one is where your work and your homework is going to come into play tonight. We're actually going to task you with building all of the rest of the outputs so that we can start creating some cool stuff in the background. As you're creating these, paying attention to how it's asking you questions and what it's doing, you're going to recognize that you're going to start learning how ChatGPT works and how the memory systems work and being able to pull those into chat. So I'll give you an actual example here of what's possible utilizing all 4 of these prompts that we're going to put into play here. So in the voice prompt, I'm going to flip over to my voice prompt and show you all of the work I did. So get ready for a scrolling session because it's coming. So we're going to jump over there. We go into my building blocks here, which I've created the folder for. So as you can see, I've built out some really cool stuff. The QC one, step 2 is the voice, which I'm going to show you now. Step 3, I've created psychological profiles for agents, loan officers, and buyers. Step 4 is the market. So we're going to create that as well. And then I've also created a step 5 here, which is called 11 Labs, which I utilize for creating voice podcasts and snippets, and I've recorded my voicemail messages with them. So it just makes it a little bit easier for me to create more amounts of voices, and we can show you that in a later episode here once we get into building these all out. So I'm going to jump into the voice one, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. So you're going to see where this starts. So the prompt that we're going to use, and as you can see, it's quite a scroll. So what you're going to upload, you're going to want to take a disk profile. You're going to want to take any presentations that you've recorded and get the transcripts from them, put them into Word documents. You're going to take an Enneagram test or any of the personality tests that are online, Myers-Briggs, any of those that you've taken that you have, or you can go find free versions of them to take them. And then you're going to want to put in transcripts and upload those. So this is the part that I can kind of give you if you want to start with, but just taking notes on this piece is going to be important for you. So you'll act as a personal copywriter using my voice. You can use as a rag. So here's my bio. You're going to want to copy and paste in your biography that you have on your websites or anything like that. You attach the disc profile. Like I said, you tell it that you've attached the disc profile. And then you want to put in your social media profiles, make sure that they can scan those and use the post as information to build the voice. Then we tell it to operate like an AI detector. So we want to avoid AI tells like fillers, robotic phrasing, buzzwords, overhyped words, generic openers, M-dashes, emojis, all the crap that when we see it, we know that it's AI writing it. We want to say use credible recent sources, avoid opinion-based sites unless approved, summarize in your own words. So I could actually get a little more detailed in here by directly telling it to avoid Reddit. It does a really good job. I've been refining this over and over and over again, and you will as well. So as you do these things, you're going to upload more transcripts, and I can show you how to use to find a transcript for free. Once you post the video to YouTube, you can just copy and paste the YouTube link. That's called tactic.io, and I can actually show you that. Let me pull that up. So this is what I'm using for. Let me pull it up here. I can only share one screen at a time. So we're going to stop screen. We're going to present. I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go to tactic. So we don't, actually, this isn't it. Sorry. We want the free YouTube transcript. So it's tactic.io/tools/YouTube transcript. So I'll actually copy and paste that into the chat here. So this is a great resource to get transcripts for your YouTube videos that you want to upload as your voice, so it can analyze the transcripts and kind of figure out your phrasing and your timing and that kind of stuff. So this is super cool. So I'm going to go to YouTube and just pull just share a video from my page. So I'm going to go to my videos. I know you guys can't see this, so give me a second to pull it up. And let's see, I want to get one that is just me. So that's me. So we want to get shareable link. So now we're going to go to Tactic and we're literally just going to type in the YouTube link. We're going to click get video transcript. Don't worry about this stuff. Tactic does have an AI ability to record your meetings and that kind of stuff. So here you go. So it does spit out the transcript with timestamps. I found that it does not matter for ChatGPT. ChatGPT just ignores the timestamps. It allows you to just copy it in one click. So you click copy, and then you would paste it into a Word document, and it would give you, something to upload into your voice prompt so that it sounds like you. So we're going to actually switch the screen back to the ChatGPT. So we're back in the voice bot. So this is the initial prompt. And then at the end, this is the most important part, okay? So I'm going to actually copy and paste this into the chat for you as well. This is the most important part. You want to make sure that it asks clarifying questions for you. This is where you're going to get rid of all of those junk assumptions that ChatGPT makes, because it's going to ask you clarifying questions about your voice and what you want it to say. So now I'm going to show you the list of questions here. So as you can see, it shows kind of a breakdown of the Kick Butt Mortgage Guy brand that I've built and how I speak, leading with heart, but don't losing the edge. Obviously, as I talked about, I do say some deeper stuff here. It's really about motivation and creating stuff that matters instead of just surface level stuff and stuff that can actually change lives over creating content, right? We don't want AI slop. We want actual deep thinking outputs and effort into this. So it shows clean human conversational. No, I don't use corporate jargon. I don't use trendy buzzwords. We don't want AI tells. You speak how you think in full thoughts, but not really over polished, just me speaking. Empathetic and bold, sometimes gritty, always real. So as you can see, this creates a great personality definition of how I talk and how I speak and how I present things and how I teach information. And it's really all about who I am. So now it goes into the DISC and the Enneagram. So I could actually upload a couple more personality tests here, which I'll probably do to improve this. But this is something that allows you to create that kind of a voice, because it's going to dig into who you are as a person and how you present and what you actually want to say. So then the next step. So here it says, your audience. Are you writing to mortgage brokers, home buyers, or other entrepreneurs? So when he starts asking these questions, you don't have to answer every single question. I want you to remember that. So I'm going to say it again. You don't have to answer every single question that ChatGPT asks you. You are the director of this. Don't let AI drive, let you drive. If you want to answer the questions, great. It will take your answers and run with them. If you don't answer the questions, it doesn't really matter. It's just going to avoid it altogether. So now it's asking about audience. Well, obviously, we just talked about we're creating profile. We're creating profile about in the future, step 3, right? We've got step 3 agents MLO, and I've got a buyer's one as well. So we're creating those psychological profiles. So the audience doesn't really matter. I don't want to tell it what audience I'm talking to because I'm going to define that in a separate prompt. So primary channel, again, you're able to prompt it. And then as you can see, when I built this up front, I had actually not used Pro. And so I told it to rerun the prompt using the updated model, which was the GPT-5 Pro. So that allowed it to think and reason for 4 minutes and 51 seconds. So now it goes deeper into those things, and it actually pulls out more and deeper information about who I am as a person, what the voice should be, the cross-checking for brand consistency, referencing, client first service and approachable education, all the stuff that we talk about. So this is how it's going to write for me. It rebuilds the prompt for me again. Okay. So now we're going to go down, how will this bot think? So it's asking, or it's telling you how it's going to think. It's going to make sure that it's pulling updated material, leadership model recap, that kind of stuff. It's pulling from more important stuff versus the older stuff. And then these are ready to use micro samples. So it's telling you, like, this is what I would type if you wanted to type a LinkedIn post about leadership that actually works. So now you can reply and tweak and start producing platform specific posts. Now I went back and answered those questions from before because I knew that it wanted to know the answers to those questions. Now I'm going to answer some of those questions. So you can go back, forth, forward, backwards. As long as you're in the paid version, there's going to be enough space here to create this, and you won't have as much slip. So now I answer those questions about primary audience. It varies, and I'll define it when I'm creating content, and we'll create another bot to narrow in on. Step 2 just needs to define my voice and how I speak and write. So as you can see, like, I'm starting to actually interact and speak with ChatGPT. I'm not just putting simple sentences like "make this better," right? How many of you have done that? Because I know I have, and it doesn't ever make it better. It just changes. It's completely different, and it's just more AI crap. So this is the way to really get it to dial in. So as you can see, like, now we're in pro, it's reasoning for minutes at a time. This isn't going to be something you can type in and get something quick out unless you're using the quick one, which I don't recommend. I recommend using the highest level that you can, whether it's thinking or pro. Now it locks in all of this stuff. So now you can see it's helping me define specifics about, I'm not a vendor, I'm a partner. Building life first is something very important to me. One man band syndrome, like, don't get stuck in doing it all yourself. Notes on tone that it followed, explore brevity. I'm very much to the point. I say what I mean, move on. Be brief, be bright, be gone. Helper achiever mix, heart first, results come behind. Light faith, so speak life, but not as a main theme. So I did a presentation at church a while back, and I uploaded that one as kind of an undertone to keep faith involved with our presentations, just not as a main headlighting theme. So now it's asking me a couple more questions, and I answer all three because I want to answer all three. Like I said, if you don't want to answer them, you don't have to. So now it locks it in. So as you can see, like, we're not even halfway through the scrolling session here, and it's starting to define it. And then it eventually kind of dials things in. It shows on a block list, not for tone control. I've blocked these types of words because they're just AI fluff words. Tossing the playbook is part of a brand stance, so I want to make sure that that's an exception. So blueprint, playbook, I don't want it to say those things. Everybody calls what they create blueprints and playbooks. There's no hacks, there's no, thought leaders, actionable insights. Like, all this stuff is just AI fluff voice that, or corporate jargon that just doesn't play in my brand. So now I've activated BB step 1, which was the one we built yesterday, right? So the QC, obviously I was kind of new at this, so then I had to say activate BB step 1 QC, which it will tell you if it needs to. So now it's activated it. So now I'm telling it to create a complete prompt for this chat that summarizes in the voice in a duplicatable and consistent way. So I'm telling it, like, hey, we're going to lock this stuff in, make sure that it can be duplicatable and consistent. So now it's going to basically summarize everything. So there's nothing you need to do with this. This is just a definition of everything I just went through and a summary, so that we're able to kind of streamline the prompt. So it's not just this massive thing that gets pulled into every chat, right? So now I'm locking it in as BB2 step 2, and it creates that as an activation phrase. So as you can see, like, this is, I want to activate it. So I was having trouble with this. If you're having trouble, like, if you create this, you lock it in, you get to this point, and you still can't go into a new chat and type this phrase in and say, activate it, and it activates. Here's one thing that I've tried that worked for me. So if you go back into your settings where I showed you the memory was, right? We go into personalization and we scroll down to where memory is. If you turn this off and turn it back on, it will reset and it'll allow it to pull those better. So I know I was having trouble when I was helping some of our team build out step 1, that we couldn't get it to activate because it wasn't recognizing it. So if you just turn it off, turn it back on, it'll actually reset everything and be able to allow better outputs, or it'll allow you to activate it. So the next piece here, obviously, like, and we go back and forth, and this is me telling it, like, I want to activate it, run the prompt when I activate step 2. So then it asks you, like, do you want it to run in the background? Do you want it to break out what it's going to do? And really, because I've built it, I don't really need to tell it to show me everything because I know what it's doing, right? It's creating stuff based off of how I talk. So I'm just going to run it in the background. It does give me a little check mark when I activate it. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you that. So this is really the voice, and it just keeps going, and so now I keep telling M dashes because I'm having a problem getting M dashes. And again, these things can sometimes be fixed by turning off the memory, turning it back on. So as you can see, this is kind of a long one. So what my plan here is to kind of recreate this uh, in a way of that's going to be a little bit more direct and to the punch. My goal actually is, after I teach your course, I'm going to delete everything and reset so that I can create it more efficiently with the new information that I do have uh, as I've learned how these things work. So step 3, there's a couple different ones that we can do. I can show you the buyer one here so that we keep it relevant to you guys as real estate agents. So you can define who your audience is. And see, this one is a lot less intrusive because it's very much like able to create everything a little bit faster because it's really just a prompt that we're going to call on later. So here is the prompt. And so I'll copy and paste this into the chat as well as sending it out after the class here. See if it'll, yep. All right. It let me copy the whole thing in there. So it does come in over a couple different comments there, but it does allow you then, if you're on your laptop, to copy and paste that into a chat. So this is a way of just creating psychology or psychological profiles based on a person, right? So we're going to do an output contract. We want to have example copy in here. We want to have creative notes, no fluff. So I'm basically creating a script builder that targets home buyers or first-time home buyers. So your role is to explain their motivations, fears, aspirations, and decision triggers. So it's funny because you'll see this one, right? And then we can go to agents, and you'll view my first prompt here and see how similar it is. Obviously, this one I've done a little bit more. So this was actually one that I pulled from a post. Act as a psychology strategist. It's basically breaking down the same thing. And then it builds it out for me. I want to build a rag from this so I can call on you to utilize the prompt. So now I'm telling it I want to retrieve it. So this is the JSON. Don't worry about that. It's annoyingly overcomplicated that has no really relevance to anything unless you know what you're looking at in there. So it gives you the output format, gives you all the templates in here, and so it's built this as a building block. Like I don't really care about this. It's just, if it's going to ask me questions, I'm going to answer some of the questions to make sure it's breaking it down. We're going to make that as a rag, so now I can activate that. So now I kind of want to show you how we can stack these 3 on top of each other. Okay. So I'm going to just jump into a new chat. Everything you want to do, we want to do in a new chat. Okay. We want to make sure that as we're activating things, we're starting fresh. We don't want it to pull on old information that we've used. And then we can go ahead and create bots for anything else if you want to. I can kind of walk through that in future class here. However, I want to get to, keep it to this half an hour here and kind of show you how I utilize these things in simple format of activation of these things. So we're going to activate QC. So I've streamlined mine so that I can activate it based off of these. Sometimes it comes back and says, I don't know what you're talking about. See? So now it'll say that. So now I want to do activate BB step 1 QC. So sometimes it's holding me to the actual phrases and sometimes it's not. So that's the output, right? I don't need it to tell me what QC is. I just want QC active. So now I'm going to say activate BB step 2 voice. And now it will activate my voice. And now I'm going to say activate BB step 3 buyers. And now it's going to activate my buyer profile. So now I'm creating content in my voice with the thought of a first-time home buyer in mind. So what I'm going to do is tell it what I want, right? So there's a few different formats for prompting, and it's really just kind of depending on how you want to I'm going to try to find one here quickly. But we want to like make sure that we're telling it, who it is, which we've done because it's an expert on first-time home buyers, right? Then we want to tell it what we want. So what are we trying to create? Okay. And then we want to make sure that it can gather the information it needs, which we've kind of defined. And then we wanted to make sure that it's giving us the output we want. So what do we want it to be? So there is let me find it here. And actually I might have it in let me flip back over to this. I might have it in here. So we talked about the audience engine, the market expert we'll go in a little deeper on, showing you the stacking. That's what I'm working on. So I don't have it in here. So prompt, let me flip back to this and then find a best prompt. So apologies for this. There's very simple ones. So just give me a second. And I can't find that. So to keep it simple, I will copy and paste this in. So to keep it simple, we can just use context, task, format. Okay. So we want to give it some context. We want to tell it what we want it to do. And then what is the output format? If we want to keep it as simple as possible, CTF, that's the way to do it, right? So we can do, context. We want it to say acting as a professional marketer who creates short form video scripts for Facebook. So now we've given it context. We know what it wants to do. So now we want to give it the task, create a script for first-time home buyers that explains mortgage insurance in a creative way. Output should be in the form of hook, body, call to action, and focused on creating interaction. Ask any clarifying questions. Again, super important. Can't type when I'm under the pressure. Ask any clarifying questions you may have. So now it's going to, as we said, we're in auto. So it's going to, now it says before I write the script. So now it's going to break this down for you, right? So now you're able to create directed content. Okay. So now some of these questions are going to be fluff because we've already defined them in the prompts that we've created, right? We've created the QC, we've created the voice, and we've created the target. So we're going to say for the audience, we want it to be because millennials are the biggest group, we're going to say millennial home buyers. And if I could spell, that'd be great. Millennial home buyers entering the market. So then we shift enter and we say number 2, tone preference. You want it to sound educational but friendly, humorous or entertaining, and emotionally reassuring or trustworthy. So I've already told it it's the expert. So I want AI to tell me how it should be. Okay. You are the expert marketer. Use the tone that abides by my voice prompt, and I will tell it it's BB step 2 voice and what will play best with the audience described. 3, brand voice. Should I keep it branded to Creative First Mortgage with the compliance stamp? So obviously, as in QC, I told you I built out the compliance stamp where it says Creative First Mortgage Equal Housing Opportunity. It doesn't really matter to say that in a video. So we're just going to keep it, we're going to keep it more neutral for now. So then video length. So what are you trying to focus on? Are you aiming for 30 seconds or 60 to 90? I like to say 60 to 90 seconds because sometimes I talk really fast and that shrinks down to 45 to 60 seconds. And then the goal. So are you more focused on engagement? Wow, I never knew that. Or lead generation, message to get us pre-qualified. So I would focus more on engagement and comments all the time. This can build out longer scripts too. We can do scripts that are long form, 4 to 10. I've created some stuff that I'll show you a brief interaction of it. I made a post in the Creative First Realtor group last night about how I created an infinite content loop. And creating longer form is okay too, but I'm going to focus on engagement and comments because the short form stuff should be for engagement. You're not going to generally get leads off of these videos, right? It's all about creating a long tenure of content consistently that flows people to you and creating conversations. So I'm going to say engagement and creating conversations. And then we click enter and it will take over again. So now it's going to respond in its fluffy answer. So as you can see, it did pull in an M dash, but because this is scripted, I don't really care, right? If it were to pull in an M dash when I was trying to create a blog post, I would be very strict on it and say, get rid of the effing M dashes because sometimes AI responds better when you swear at it. So this gives you the hook. So ever feel like mortgage insurance, that mystery fee, nobody really explains, but somehow everyone pays. Let's fix that in less than a minute. So now there's your hook, right? So now you can record this as it's staying. So now it says, okay, picture this. You're buying your first home, got good income, da, da, da. I don't have to read the whole thing. But it basically says, hey, lender, if the borrower can't make payments, you're still protected. So it allows you to get better interest rates, defines what it's called. And then no, mortgage insurance isn't the enemy. It's the bridge that gets you from someday to keys in hand. So if you're saving for first home, drop a ready in the comments. See how now it's creating something that's quick and easy for them. And I'll show you how to buy sooner, even if you don't have 20% down. So now if you were using this on Facebook, now you could respond to anybody that says comments and say, something along the lines of, thanks for interacting. I'm going to shoot you a message. Now you've created a conversation, right? So if you're a good editor on your videos, I'm not, I really just do talking head videos. It's going to ask you questions. You don't have to answer them. Okay. I don't want to add on-screen text. Do I want to keep it in pure script format for teleprompter or upload to 11 Labs? See, I use 11 Labs, so now it's telling me about that. So let's keep it pure script format. Give me a teleprompter version. So what a teleprompter version is going to do is eliminate all the middle ground stuff. So, I could continue going down this path as much as I wanted to here. But this is basically just going to see how it eliminated all of it where it says hook, call to action, that kind of stuff. Now you could just copy and paste this into any teleprompter app that you're using, and being able to read it directly on screen as you record it with your phone right in front of you. This is now a script that we can create based off of mortgage insurance. So the last thing I want to show you real quick before we get to get through today was the market one. So I'm going to drop in and show you my building block for market. So you can use this as any market you want to. So you're able to go, I'm going to scroll back up for the initial prompt here. So you're a market analysis GPT. So essentially I'm telling it any market I want to tell it, like this is the starter form. So when I activate this, it's going to ask me these questions. Okay. However, as you can see, we're going to focus on our audience, which we will activate in step 3. Step 4 is the market one. So now I can go into this and it basically just puts out general identity of the place. It knows the location, geography, cultural anchors, lifestyle, reputation, what's in your city. So this is the most relevant one for you as real estate agents because you can create content based on your city. So I'm showing you how to create video content. In a future class, we could show you how to create blog posts and stuff that are a little bit longer form. But we want to get these things built first. So I will give you the 3 prompts or the 2 prompts, one for the buyers, one for the market, so that you can build those. And then I can send out a shell of a voice prompt as well to make sure that you guys have the ability to utilize something as a base for your prompt. But now I'm going to go back to that chat that we just started in. And so I want to do activate step 4 market. Okay, so now we're going to activate that step 4 market, and it's going to spit out a couple questions for me. Oh, it's not defining that. So there we go. So this is what I was talking about. So now it should pull it because it's recognizing it. There we go. To create. So now it's telling me what I need to do to create that as a market reg, which I already thought I had, but it's all good. So we're able to create that. So I'll push that till tomorrow so I don't keep you on here while I do that. But we're going to be able to create the market and tell it to write as if it's in our city. So we'll push that to tomorrow so that we can keep this as close to a half an hour to 45 minutes as possible. So go ahead and if you've got any questions, I know there's only a couple of us left on here. Go ahead and ask any questions that you have on what I've talked about today. But again, I'll get you the prompts for the first-time home buyer psychology prompt and the market prompt once I get it dialed in there. Obviously, I hadn't activated it all the way, or it's just not wanting to pull it today, and gotta love technology. So let me know if you got any questions. I'll stick around here for a couple minutes, and then we will get started on the summarizing and getting that stuff out to you. All right, nobody's got questions, it looks like. So I said a couple minutes, but we have no movement. So I'm going to go ahead and call it at 42 minutes of recording. I appreciate you all for being on here, and I will get that stuff out to you as soon as I can get through the summarizing and get the prompts into format to send to you. If you have any direct questions, feel free to text me on the number that I know you have because I texted you every day last week. If you need anything from me, just let me know. Jason is asking a somewhat sarcastic comment, I think, but love you, buddy. This is my business partner, Jason Maxim. He's co-owner with me of Creative First Mortgage. If you didn't know, how did you get so good at this? A lot of trial and error, Jason, and I've taken quite a few AI classes and ingested quite a bit of content to be able to kind of process this stuff and make it happen. But I promise you, once you start to dive into what I've just shown you, you're going to be able to create some awesome, very targeted content based off of those prompts. All right. We'll talk to you soon.